They're looking to decide if they want a timeout. They're going to let him play.
Jean-Baptiste with one. Heaves it for the win. Oh! Chattanooga with a game-winning shot in overtime and a shot he will never forget.
Oh, my goodness. And we got this shirtless crew coming on the court to celebrate devastating loss for Furman.
They will review this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of the Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. We're coming to you a little early this evening because due to these basketball tournaments, it is March Madness starting this week, or if you want to call it Championship Week. We'll tell you who's coming up here really shortly. Waiting for Adam ZachWeiss to join us, and then our friend George Bashir will be joining us around 7 o'clock this evening. So coming up in a minute or so, we'll have our good friend Shelby Mast from Bracketology. We'll talk some brackets. I know you folks are getting ready to get your brackets ready for Sunday. We have selection Sunday coming up on March 13th. And then Corey Bednick, who's the Washington College baseball coach, will be joining us at 6 o'clock. So let's bring in Shelby. Good evening, Shelby. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing great. Let me bring in Adam here. Yeah, he's right here. Yeah, so you talked about that win last night by Chattanooga there. If they didn't make that win, I guess they were not being in the tournament. That was a heck of a buzzer beater.
Yeah, they had win that earlier in the season. They had hopes of it at large, but their resume took a ding kind of at the end, and but they needed it, and that was a perfect kickoff to March Madness.
Exactly. Let's talk about the tournament here. Everybody's starting up today. The ACC is starting up. Tomorrow, the Big Ten is starting up. The A-10 is starting up. Everybody's starting up tomorrow. So, what are the teams are you looking for who are on the bubble that you and I talked about a couple weeks ago?
Bubble teams. I'm watching the A-10 because they've got several teams still in play. Dayton is the most obvious. They've got some really good wins. They got some puzzling losses. Even though they are very young, the committee's not going to give them a pass on that. I think they might have to get to the finals at least. Davidson, I think, will probably be there. I'm watching Xavier and Wyoming and Wake Forest, SMU as well. Those are teams that if they take one loss, they probably won't be in the tournament. They can't afford it. They need to win.
Like a Wake Forest squad, they had a great season this year, and they gave the coach an extension. So I guess they have to get to the quarterfinals or the semifinals to actually lock their place in the tournament.
Yeah, their out of conference schedule was so weak, and they're a big school, and they can schedule whoever they want, and they chose to do an easy one, and so that the committee has penalized teams for doing that in the past.
Mm-hmm. So why do schools do that with their like if you're not Duke, you play against you play whatever you want to play. You get Kentucky and Kansas and all that stuff. Why does Wake Forest play schools that are very easy for them to get up to 11-0, and then they could actually try to sail into the NCAA tournament?
I think they're doing it because it's a young team, a coach that's in the second year, I believe, and so he's kind of trying to feel out his team. But still, you've got to challenge them and play a somewhat challenging schedule, and they just didn't do it. I can't explain it for sure, but maybe they thought these teams would be better, but they weren't, and they hopefully for them they've got to win at least one, I think.
Hey, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, Shelby. One conference that I'm looking at is the WCC, the West Coast Conference. We all know about Gonzaga, and they play St. Mary's in Las Vegas tonight. And the last time these two teams met in Moraga, St. Mary's knocked off Gonzaga at their home court, and it snapped a really long conference winning streak. So my question to you is, even if Gonzaga wins the WCC championship game tonight, do you see St. Mary's getting in along with the Zags as another team from the West Coast Conference, or do you think it's only going to be a one-bid league?
I think it's going to be at least a 3-bid league. San Francisco,
really? Cool. All right.
I think San Francisco's going. St. Mary's is a lock. They're going no matter what. The only one you got to watch who can't do anything about it now is BYU.
Yeah.
Haven't done enough this year, and they started off very well, but down the stretch they weren't playing good and racked up a lot of losses. I got a feeling they'll be staying home, but crazier things have happened.
Yep. Agree, Shelby. Agree.
Hey, Shelby, tomorrow around here locally here in Maryland, Towson last night lost to Delaware, so they're going to be at NIT automatically. If Delaware beats a good NCW squad, they'll be in the tournament. Does North Carolina Wilmington get in because of their record, or they'll be going to the NITs just like Towson?
There's no guarantee they will even go to the NIT.
Oh, really?
They only the first place team in conference is guaranteed. Yeah. After that, they take what's left from the big dance, and I think it's a 32 draw. And so, if they're deemed to be one of the 32 best, they'll go.
Wow. Was also another local team here, Navy. They're playing tomorrow night against Colgate in the Patriot final. That's actually not at Navy. That's up at Colgate. I guess you win. You're in. If you win, Navy wins, they're in. And I guess it's only one spot, for the Patriot League, because these two teams basically they both have 21, 22 wins, but the Patriot League is not like, the Big East. No,
they're getting one, and it'll probably be Colgate. And if they get in, they're probably looking at a 15 seed. So it's just winner goes, and you get games like that, like last night in those conferences, so much line.
Exactly. Hey, Shelby, also next week we got next week we have the play-in games, the ones in Dayton, Ohio. Who do you have them? Who's going to be facing Gonzaga if Gonzaga makes it into the tournament again? It's like, hey, you play the play-in again. Here you go. You got Gonzaga.
Yeah, it's tough to say because they're going to be playing so far out west. They try to accommodate for geography, but they can't always do that. So you're looking at a school like Nichols or Northern Kentucky, the furthest west school of the 16 seeds. They could ship them out there. It would work out great if a California school or something like that was out there also. That's who they'd play, but it's just not going to play out over the next few days as to who is in those 16 seed spots.
Yeah. I was talking to the ACC tournament starting up today. I talked to one of the local beat writers down there in Virginia, and the Cavaliers basically have to be like Wake Forest. They have to get to the semifinals, or they're not going to be going in because they had some heartbreaking losses during the ACC play.
Yeah, I feel that Virginia, they've got to get to the finals or probably win the tournament and beat Duke along the way for a second time. If they get to the finals and haven't played Duke, that's the only good net team right now, and I don't think that'll be enough. I think they've got to win the whole thing.
Yeah. Hey, if you're a team that has to face Duke, I don't think you want to face them after they lost to North Carolina. My brother
No.
Said to me the other day, he goes, if you're the Duke team that just lost to North Carolina on Coach K's final game, you must be really ticked off.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Yeah.
I feel bad for whoever plays them in the ACC tournament. I think it might be Florida State or Syracuse. You're going to run into a team that's really, really up, ready to go.
Yep, they're going to want to get revenge, and you don't want to be in their way.
No.
Adam, you got anything for Shelby?
Yeah. I gotta say, that brother beat by Chattanooga last night over Furman. It took place over in Asheville, North Carolina, and I got it was really cool. So my question to you one more time, Shelby, is who do you have right now as your last four teams in and your first four teams out of the NCAA tournament?
Okay, last four in are Wyoming, Xavier, Wake Forest, and SMU. First four out are Dayton, VCU, BYU, and Indiana.
Wow. Indiana's got to do a lot of work in Chicago.
Yes, they do.
Hey, Maryland has to do a lot of work too, because if they don't win, they're going to have their first losing season in 21 years.
Yeah,
wow. I didn't realize that, Chris.
That's
wow,
crazy.
Thanks for the info.
Yeah, that's crazy. I saw that last week, and I'm like, that is nuts.
Yeah.
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 And plus, Maryland needs to get a new coach anyway. So if Maryland wins the next couple games in the Big Ten tournament, I think Coach Manning might have the job for next year, right? Do you think, Shelby, or do you think?
I don't pay attention too much about the coaching stuff until after the season. That's when more of it takes place. But yeah, I gotta believe he'd have to do well in the tournament, the Big Ten tournament, because all they've done so far is just kind of kept their head above water, or even. They haven't done anything spectacular. So we'll see. And Danny Manning did not fare well at Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Oh, he did not. He did not, Shelby, at all. No.
Real quick, last one before I let you go. What besides the conferences you're watching today, which one are you going to be watching over the weekend that you're going to keep a close eye on? With all these championship games starting up, late Friday night, early and all the way to Sunday night.
Yeah, one I'm really interested in is the WAC. Everybody's going to keep an eye on the big boys, but the WAC conference should be a knockdown, drag out. They got several teams. They can get a bid to the tournament, but they're really good teams. And so whoever they have a three-way tie for first, whoever wins that is going to have to play really good ball over the next few days.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah,
Well, Shelby, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I know you're a busy guy, and get some sleep. I know they're going to be calling you now until Sunday.
Oh yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah. It's called March Madness. March Madness is officially here, and it's an awesome time to be a college basketball fan.
All right, boss man. Thanks, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Shelby.
All right, that's Shelby Mast, who's Bracketology here on our state here on Herb FM Radio. Nice guy. Yeah, he's from the Texas Fort Worth area, so you can follow him on Twitter.
No,
but man, he must be Adam. He must be ready to go, or
yeah. It's called
it's a lot of coffee ready for him.
Yeah, it's called March Madness is officially here, Chris. It's like and in the CAA tournament final is in a little while between Delaware and UNC Wilmington on CBS Sports Network with Dave Ryan, former coach Pete Gillen, and Sheree Burris on courtside. And it's like the ACC tournament started earlier in Brooklyn, New York. I mean, it's like it's Christmas if you're a college basketball fan. And Sunday night, we have not only women's selection or we have men's selection Sunday, but also the women have expanded to 68 teams this year. So, you're going to have women's selection Sunday. And there's a lot of good women's teams out there who could win a national title. South Carolina, Stanford, UConn, Tennessee. So, it's going to be interesting to see how everything develops over these next couple of weeks as we crown a national champion in both women's and men's college basketball.
Exactly. Well, speaking of that game this afternoon, Pittsburgh and Boston College went at it in Brooklyn. Here's some little highlights from the folks from the ACC and Digital Network. And it looks like Boston College gave Pittsburgh a loss 66-46 in the first round of the opening game of the ACC tournament. There's a lot of speculation, Adam, up in Pittsburgh that Jeff Capel might be out of a job because they had a terrible season. Yes, and he said during the press conference this afternoon, he just wants better players.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do with all these transfer portals and all that stuff. And, what can you do? You got to do the best you can. You got to recruit better.
Yeah. And Jeff Capel is a former North Carolina Tar Heel. So it's like, even though he's a coach at Pittsburgh, he's got to be happy after the Tar Heels went into Cameron Indoor Stadium and knocked off Coach K and Duke and Coach K's final home game. I think we can now say the Tar Heels are now officially in, but we won't know that until Sunday, when everything gets revealed.
Exactly. Well, speaking of that, on this day, I found this today. On this day in 1974, Maryland won a 105-85 matchup against North Carolina, and they faced in the next game on March 9th, NC State, and that was the first the true matchup for the ACC final. And back then, Adam, if you won the ACC final, you go in. It's no at-large. They didn't have any at-large bids like we have now. So this game coming up tomorrow, Maryland against NC State, changed the way in the NCAA tournament it looks today because they decided to expand the field. Because before that, it was only 62 teams. I think it was
48 teams, I
or
think.
something like that. And they only had at-large conference champions, and then now they brought in the at-large bid. So 1985, it went to 64 teams.
Slamma Jamma. Oh, I remember that.
And then around, I think 2016, I think it went to 68. By the end, it probably when I'm 60, it'd probably be 78 teams. By
yeah. Oh, you never know anymore, Chris. With all these coaches and wanting to expand. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So let's bring in the. We're just going to shift gears here in the car. If we had a car, we're going to go to some baseball, some college baseball. Let's bring Coach Ben Nick, who is the coach of Washington College. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the early show. Because
my pleasure.
Yeah, we normally do this at 7:30 on Tuesday, but we're trying to fit everything in during these conference championship games. And, when we have a small budget of advertising, nobody's going to tune in. So we got people right now, so that's good.
Good. I'm glad to be here. Thanks again.
Thanks for coming on. So talk about your season so far. I've been over your neck of the woods once. I think I did a baseball game a long, long time ago, and it was so cold at your stadium. I think I remember it was like 6 or 7 years ago. And it was a nice ballpark. Don't get me wrong. Your baseball stadium is very, very nice, but it's in the middle of a town, Chestertown, Maryland, and it's like that's the only thing that's in Chestertown, Maryland.
Yeah. I mean, Chestertown's definitely a college town, and Washington College is a big part of it. And, our baseball field's right in the middle of campus, which is pretty cool. And you mentioned the temperatures. One thing about college baseball is our season's played in February, March, and April, and the playoffs are in early May. So we're certainly not the only teams that are playing, in 30, 40-degree temperature. So it's something we're accustomed to. We're already 8 games into the season, but again, for college baseball, it's kind of the norm. It's actually been a pretty good weather temperature-wise for us this year. We can get some pretty nasty weather in late February.
Exactly. So this weekend, you guys heading south to Florida. So that's good for you guys get away from this weather.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, we go down to Florida over our spring break week, and we play 10 games down there. We're 8 games into our season currently. We started off with a 5-3 record. We've in the middle of February, we went down to Methodist University in Fayetteville, North Carolina for a weekend series. Then we went to Mary Washington University in Fredericksburg for a weekend series. So we've gone down south a couple of times, give us a better chance of playing. And the fact that we're already 8 games in and it's only the second week of March is that's the goal, is to play as much baseball as we can before the start of conference play. And we play in a very competitive Centennial Conference that typically starts the end of March. So we want to play as many games as we can before the start of conference play to make sure our team's at our best, rolling into those games.
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah. You talk about what it's like to play in Division III college baseball. Normally you get, division, you see Division I college baseball, TV all the time, but Division III doesn't get a lot of exposure. So
Sure.
Talk to us about some of the powerhouse teams in Division III college baseball that fans should be looking out for this year.
Sure. So, to your point, I think Division III college baseball compared to Division I college baseball, out of all the major sports, it's probably the closest you get. I mean, I think it was just last week there was a Division III team in the Midwest that beat the University of Iowa, in midweek non-conference games. So, really, the difference between Division I and the better Division III programs, in my mind, is top of the rotation pitching. I mean, Division I programs roll out 15 guys deep that are, mid to upper 80s, low 90s. At our level, typically your better programs have some guys that are throwing upper 80s, low 90s, but the pitching depth, is a little bit behind. The other thing that's great about college baseball, whether you're talking Division I, Division II, or Division III, I really feel like you get true baseball. You get, bunting, you get stealing. You don't have as many strikeouts. Your old school baseball fans that love, hit and runs and those types of things. You see squeeze plays. You see that type of stuff more in college baseball than I think you do, at the professional ranks where, we all know it's become a lot of, strikeout, walks, and home runs. So I think you really see, especially the Division I, because you can see on ESPN, the popularity of college baseball has really taken off over the last 2 or 3 years. And part of me wonders, with the lockout and everything we're dealing with Major League Baseball, if you might even see that continue. Your question about some powerhouse teams, I mean, right down the road, the defending national champions is Salisbury University. And at the Division III level, we have just under 400 Division III baseball teams in the country. It's by far the most of any of the three divisions. So to have the national champs in our backyard, one of our biggest rivals, is really cool. But it also pushes us. In your neck of the woods, Johns Hopkins, they're in our conference. They're the perennial powerhouse in our league. They're always top 10 in the country. They're very, very difficult team to beat and play. So. We play a tough schedule, but that's the way we like it. And we feel like in our conference, we're competing at the top of Division III, which isn't easy, but, our goal is to compete with those big boys and continue to grow our brand and get better.
Yeah, I'm from the Harford County area. You have a kid who's from Forest Hill, Nick Tambo. He seems like he's pretty good. He came from Calvert Hall, so I guess Calvert Hall has a very good program for baseball. We're going to have their coach on next week here on the program. So I guess you get a lot of recruits from the Baltimore metro area. I want to go to college, but I want to be 2 hours away from my parents.
Right. Yeah. And at the Division III level, and we're lucky to be in a conference that's very strong academically. So we go after those student athletes that want that balance of high academics but want to compete at a high level athletically. We are at the Division III level restricted to how often we can't practice year round as a team. We're able to practice for 5 weeks in the fall. Our guys can be in the weight room year round with our strength coaches, but we're not practicing year round. So it's a little bit less than what you'd find at the Division I and Division II levels, where they're not as restricted to how often they can meet. And really the goal there is developing well-rounded students, So, our guys are committed to playing baseball at a high level, but they're also able to get involved, do internships, really focus on their studies. We have a lot of double majors and double minors. So that's kind of the great thing about the Division III level is you have student athletes who are playing for the love of the sport. They're not on athletic scholarships. They want that balance between, focusing on what comes next after college and their career, but they also want to play the sport that they love with some really good teammates and make some memories.
That's true. And also, like you said, in academics, they're there for education. Like I know some people want to be there just for baseball, but mommy and daddy are paying the bill for them to go to college, and they want to be. Degree is more important than. Yes, you can play baseball, but you need to have something to fall back on.
Yeah, that's the most important thing that our guys are going to do is get their degree. Now, I would say our players are here to play baseball. Like we've recruited them to Washington College because of the opportunities that baseball presents. But the most important thing they do while they're with us is to get their degree. So, as a coach, I'm focused on winning baseball games, but more importantly than that, I'm focused on helping guys get to what comes next. And for some guys, hopefully they get to continue to play. We're lucky where we've had a handful of players, in the last 5 or 6 years that have left and kept playing baseball. Not many programs can say that, but the 98% of our guys, this is the last 4 years of baseball for them, and they're going to law school and med school, and they're starting their career right away. So it's a very unique group of individuals to work with.
That's true. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah. You mentioned Salisbury, and talk to us about the rivalry. You guys have. Is it one of the most? Is it a popular rivalry in Division III? And what's the fan turnout at a game like that?
Yeah, so it's funny. We're the two Eastern Shore, teams. So it started out as a really big men's lacrosse rivalry. Washington College, we won a couple of national championships in the 80s and 90s. Salisbury is a perennial powerhouse. So it started out as a big men's lacrosse rivalry, and they call it the War on the Shore. So it's every year it's the biggest lacrosse game, and they talk, and it's nationally known. And that's really spilled over to all of our sports. And it's Salisbury is very good at a lot of their programs. So it's a very it's a respectful dislike, I would say. Like they're very good, and we want to get to where they are. When you talk to any of our current athletes and ask them who's our biggest rival, I think if you ask normal student athletes that, they typically would name somebody in their conference, right? Like if you ask North Carolina, I heard you guys talking about North Carolina, and Duke. If you ask a North Carolina player, their biggest rival is Duke. It's normally a conference opponent. If you ask most Washington College athletes who our biggest rival is, you'd hear Salisbury. And that's pretty unique because they're not in our conference. So when Salisbury comes up to us, it doesn't matter what sport it is. Our gym, our stadiums, they get packed. And it means a lot to the campus community.
Well, it's like, Adam, it's like Florida State and Florida.
Yeah.
They're two separate conferences, but when they play each other at the end of the year, it's for the Sunshine State, championship or whatever they call it. I call it the Florida Cup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's what's and that's what they do. They play each other.
That's a great comparison. Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's always on the schedule. And plus, you guys had back in when we had this COVID issue in 2020. Were they still on the schedule, or did you guys had because of different conferences saying we'll do that next year?
So last year was the first year that we haven't played them. For that reason, they went to conference only. Okay. But typically, we're recruiting. We go up and recruiting the similar players. I mean, they've had a lot of success. They have a lot of guys that we wish we had as well. And we look at their roster, and it's a lot of guys that we've seen and followed and recruited throughout the high school. So there's some familiarity there that, the saying familiarity breeds contempt. So I think that factors in a little bit too.
Yeah, it's almost like what they say, like we using college football. Like when Florida State and Miami played each other, they went to the same high school. They went to the same grocery store. They know each other, the same block. And then when they get on the field, they don't like each other.
No.
Oh. Yeah, that's similar. Corey, talk about your other job. You're like the assistant athletic director or the assistant of the athletic department. So I guess you have two hats that you have to make sure you get everything in the right way.
Yeah. So at the Division III level, you'll find that a lot of head coaches have secondary responsibilities, whether that's, in my case, assistant athletic director, and I handle our NCAA compliance. So I oversee all of our sports, making sure that, we're following the rules and overseeing that aspect. So that's my secondary duty. And I shouldn't say it's just it's my other duty on campus. I enjoy having hopefully a leadership role within the department, and I want our baseball team to do well, but I want all of our 18 sports to do well. And in this role, I can help make that happen, which is a blessing. And we have a great group of student athletes, not just on the baseball team, but all of our sports, and to be able to work with them and help them achieve their goals, is really rewarding.
That's cool. Well, let me let you go so you get yourself ready for this weekend's trip down to Florida. Thank you so much for coming on, and bring some warm weather back up here so we could.
We'll do. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Bye.
All right, that's the head coach of Washington College there, Coach Bednick, who does a great job down there in the in Chestertown, Maryland. If you know where Chestertown, Maryland is, you just take 301 or 50. If you have been through Maryland, it takes you all the way down to Salisbury. It's like the little towns.
I know.
It's all good. So
gotcha.
Yeah, so that was great to have some Division III baseball on.
Yes.
Exactly.
Hopefully we get the walkouts, so we can have some. We have some Major League Baseball soon. What it's called?
The NFL still going on. The NFL.
Yeah. That's a big story. Aaron Rodgers, 4 years, $200 million.
Yeah.
Everybody thought he was going to the Denver Broncos.
Well, Denver did something today that people don't realize.
Did they ever? They got Russell Wilson from the Seahawks, and I think Drew Lock, a former Broncos quarterback, is going to Seattle.
Oh,
so it's like, and
if you're Seattle, basically your golden years are over with. You're back to rebuilding.
Yeah. And I think Russell Wilson was drafted by the Colorado Rockies, to play Major League Baseball back in the day. So it's like kind of, I guess you could. I mean, he did play college baseball at NC State when he was there, and he was really good. So
exactly, I agree. Let's bring in this gentleman. He's the voice of GeorgeMason basketball. GeorgeMason is known a lot for March Madness because they made a long time ago.
Yeah.
They're going to run all the way to the Final Four before they lost to Florida. But this guy probably was maybe behind the mic, or he might was at that game. So, but let's bring in BillRohland. Hey, Bill.
Good evening, guys.
Hi.
Good evening, sir.
At that game when GeorgeMason made that run all the way to the Final Four? Were you?
I was behind the mic. That was my first year actually of doing play-by-play. It was my 7th year with the broadcast. I started as their analyst in the late 90s, but yes, I was behind the mic for that 05-06 run.
Jeez. What was like that back then? Because around here there was a guy from Aberdeen where I was living in. Yeah, he was one of your players, and I was trying to get down there to get a pass, but they had to cover you guys more than 100 games during the whole year. I think that's what the NCAA tournament told it. But just talk about what did that mean for you as a young broadcaster? Saying, is this going to be normal?
Yeah, no, that you're talking about Jai Lewis, the kid from Aberdeen. In fact, all 5 starters on that team were from Maryland, which was pretty unusual. But yeah, I mean, I obviously didn't think that this was going to be the norm of us going to Final Fours, but it was the 3rd time we had been to the NCAA tournament under Jim Larinaga at the time, who's now down at Miami, obviously. And, we went back in 2008 and we went back in 2011. And unfortunately, that's been it. Coach L left for Miami, and we've been kind of wandering around in the wilderness since then, trying to find our way back to the NCAA tournament.
Well, this week I hope you found DC again, because that's where the tournament is. At the Capital One Arena on Thursday against Fordham. You lost to Fordham last weekend, right? So this is like a return game, or
yeah, it's been a little bit. It wasn't this past weekend; it was the one before. But yeah, it's been within the last 4 or 5 games. We lost 50-47. We missed a 3 at the buzzer that would have tied the game, but it was a typical Fordham type game. That it was a rock fight, an absolute rock fight. And there you see the 3 that we got. A good look, just didn't hit it. But they played great defense. Fordham's one of the best defensive teams in the country. So it's going to be tough. I mean, anytime that you get in a one and done type scenario like conference tournaments are, there won't be a big crowd because it's noon on Thursday. Not a lot of people are going to come down, obviously, from New York for Fordham, and it's going to be tough even for our fans to get away from work and everything else. So it could be in Capital One, if you only have about 1,500 to 2,000 people in there, it could be pretty weird atmosphere in those type of games.
Hey, that's why they bring the radio to work.
Right. There you go.
Exactly.
Listen to Bill. Bill will help you during lunch.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty fun. You guys had a great season. I know it was not the greatest records and all that, but you did knock off some, good teams. Like you took care of a Maryland squad that at the time was trying to figure out what they were doing. And what's his name was the head coach still in Maryland. And, he left 3 games after you guys.
Yeah, I think it was just one more game. They lost to us on a Thursday or Wednesday night. I think he coached the next game, and that was the game that the students were all chanting about, that they wanted him fired and whatever else. And he, in my mind, Turgeon made the right decision. There was no path forward for him because you can't recruit if your own students have turned on you and are chanting that you should be fired. How do you go out and get the type of players that you need to turn it around if your own fan base has turned against you? And I don't know Mark Turgeon well. He was actually coach of the Wichita State team that Mason beat in 2006, not only in the bracket buster, but also in the conference tournament. So I've been around him, and I know enough people that know him to understand that he's, a lot of kids and people around here talking about what a bad coach he was. He's not a bad coach. He wasn't the right fit for Maryland, and that's not his fault or their fault. It was just a bad marriage. Because you look at his numbers in his time there, he wasn't terrible. He wasn't under 500. It's not like they were just look right across the river. They weren't Georgetown, right, who can't win a conference game. So, it's a tough thing. He'll land on his feet. He's a good coach, and I hope Maryland finds somebody that fits the Maryland profile, which is that Gary Williams type guy that is us against the world, rah, get you fired up and that kind of thing. And that was not Turgeon. He wasn't that type of guy. Just didn't fit, which just wasn't a good fit.
I was there for that game, Bill, and I was on my way home because I had to get up next morning for my other job. And when you have the crowd booing you,
right?
I told my brother the next day, he's fired. Because you can't you can't win. You can't do anything if everybody wants you gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Short of him making a big, huge run in the Big Ten, which, let's face it, that roster, as we've seen, even with Danny Manning, that roster's not good enough to compete with the top level Big Ten schools night in and night out. Can they pull an upset? Of course, everybody can do it one night, but consistently over 18, 20 games, the talent level just isn't there to compete with the top of the Big Ten.
And he looked tired because I saw him in the beginning of the year. Around the football season, they had the Big Ten tailgate thing. He was there, for that game, for that tailgate thing in College Park. He looked tired. He looked like he was beat up, and it was like the season not even started yet.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of that after the last couple of years that he just got worn down. And again, you never want to be the guy that follows the guy, and that was Turgeon's problem. I mean, you think Craig Esherick, that was the same problem he had following JT2 over at Georgetown. Even Paul Hewitt on a smaller scale at Mason following Coach Larinaga. You never want to be that guy because it generally doesn't work out for you that often. And it didn't in this case, unfortunately, for Coach Turgeon in Maryland.
Yeah. Let's talk about your new coach, Coach English. He looks like, was he a former NBA player? Because I think he was on my one of my Nintendo games years ago.
Yeah, well, he was briefly. He got drafted, second-round pick after he graduated from Missouri in 2012. So he spent a year or so in the NBA, kicked around, and then went overseas. But he figured out, and talking to him, it's very interesting. He's only 32, 33 years old. He's one of the youngest Division I coaches in the NCAA. He figured out pretty quick that he wanted to get into coaching. So he didn't try to chase the dream like a lot of guys do and spend 8, 10, 12 years in Europe and bouncing around and everything. He came back and spent 6 years as an assistant coach. He was 2 years at Tulsa, 2 years at Colorado, and then his last 2 years at Tennessee before he came to Mason. So he figured it out pretty early, what he wanted to do. And he's a high-energy guy. He's still young enough that obviously players and recruits love being around him because, it's easier for a guy who's 32, 33, who probably still listens to the same type of music they do and everything else. It can relate to him a little bit better than a guy who's in his mid-50s that doesn't quite understand, TikToks and everything else. And as a guy who is in his early 50s, I completely understand that because I have no idea how any of that stuff works either. So I can imagine how difficult it would be for a basketball coach to try to relate to them on that level.
Yeah, I know Adam's big in TikTok. Go ahead.
Yeah. Love the sweatshirt, Billy. I think among the three of us, we're all ready for some major League Baseball. And I grew up outside of Boston, so I'm a Red Sox fan. I have a lot of friends who are Chicago Cubs fans. Chris is has on a New York Mets jersey, so it's like hopefully the lockout can end.
Yes,
we can have some Major League Baseball and see if the world champs from Atlanta, Georgia, can go back to back, and hopefully we can re-sign Freddie Freeman because he's one of the biggest talents in all of Major League Baseball. So, we're talking to us about playing in the A10. A lot of great talent in the A10. Besides you guys, there's Fordham, there's UMass, there's Dayton. So much good talent. Talk to us about the depth of the conference, and also I think GeorgeMason went out to Allen Fieldhouse to play Kansas earlier this year. I don't know if he had a chance to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was one of the games that I was not allowed to go on because we were still in COVID protocols and stuff, which disappointed for me because, who wouldn't want to go Fieldhouse? But your question about the depth of the A10, you look at it and we're the 9th seed, and you look and we played the number 1 seed probably 35 minutes down at their place. We were in that ball game in playing Davidson. We beat the number 2 seed Dayton. We were ahead in the second half against the number 3 seed in Virginia Commonwealth. We beat the number 4 seed in St. Bonaventure. We took the 5th seed to double overtime and lost, and we split with the 6th seed. So yeah, you look at it, we could make a run, but any of those teams, I mean, St. Bonaventure, the depth that they have with all, I think, 4 of their 5 guys in their 4th or 5th year there with Mark Schmidt. He's done an incredible job with them, and they slumped a little bit in the middle of the season, but it wouldn't shock anybody if they made a run and got all the way to the finals or won the thing. There are so many good quality teams of all the ones that I just listed off that it's going to be, if people can get down there, it's going to be a great weekend of basketball down at Capital One Arena, no question.
And hopefully the Metro stays running.
Yeah, right. Well, that's true too. That's true too.
There were a couple years ago for the Big Ten tournament. It was Maryland versus Northwestern, and they're going, if you want to catch the F train, you have to leave at 9:35. I'm like, the game just tipped off at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's the problem that they had down in Nats Park all the time. You'd be in the 7th inning of a tight ball game, and it was like, well, you're either going to have to take a cab or something, or if you didn't drive, you were in trouble because you had to get to the Metro.
Right. And I asked one lady there on the Metro, like, why are you guys just like, because I'm from New York, ever since
it's open all the time.
Everything's done, and they're like, she's like, well, we don't want to go over our budget.
Right. That's what it always is. It's always something with them.
Yeah. Like, you don't have a budget anyway. You can't even fix the trains,
Right.
You got your trains that looks like, when you go in the Metro, Adam, it looks like 1970.
Oh, yeah. I believe it, Chris. I believe it.
And every time I get bored one, I feel like I'm about ready to play a video game. We're ready to pop out. Somebody come pop out and go,
At least it's relatively clean, though, compared to like New York subways and Boston subways.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's clean. Metro I've ever seen, but it's just, the cars look like, can you update them?
Yeah, it very much looks like the day they opened. No question about it.
Exactly. I was looking at the brackets here. If you guys win on Thursday, you got to play, Davidson.
Yep.
And that's going to be a tough matchup. And then you got to wait till, you got to go all the way to Sunday at 1 o'clock, and that's going to be on CBS or Paramount TV or whatever channel.
Yeah, it's 4 to win it. You got to win four games in 4 days, and that's a tough ask. Obviously, when you're coming out of the 9 spot, you didn't do yourself any favors. We dropped a lot of close games in conference, a couple of overtime games, 1 possession type games, just like the game against Fordham. Mm-hmm. So they really could probably have finished as high as 5th had a couple of games gone their way. But this is the hand that you're dealt. So you got to go ahead and you got to take care of Thursday first. Then you worry about Friday against Davidson. If you get past them, then you worry about whoever it is, next, whether it's St. Bonaventure, whether it's St. Louis, whoever it is. They've just got to take one game at a time. And talking to a couple of the guys, that's kind of what the mindset is they're not even looking to the fact that they have to win 4 and 4. Their whole thing is, we got to win Thursday or none of the rest of it even matters. So they're concentrating on 40 minutes on Thursday before they worry about Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Exactly. Well, Bill, thanks for coming on tonight. Enjoy Thursday's broadcast. You probably got the entire city of DC listening to you, so that'll probably be good for you guys. Yeah, we hope so. Thanks, guys. Anytime, we appreciate it, and I'm with you as a Red Sox fan. Also, Adam, I'm hoping this lockout ends very, very soon. Well, they're on the clock until midnight, and they lose more games. So
we don't want to lose any more games. It's called is enough.
They need to get it started, get it done. It's crazy. Billionaires arguing over millions of dollars while the rest of us sit there and just pull our hair out what little we have left, I guess. Yeah, and plus you have to pay $4 a gallon of the gas. Right. Well, that too. Yeah. Exactly. All right, man. Have a safe trip. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Yes, sir. See you. All right, that's BillRohland, who is the voice of GeorgeMason basketball. Who's they are March Madness to me because you still know their good run they had years ago. Mike Burnop will be joining us shortly. He's up in Brooklyn. He's going to be doing the broadcast tomorrow for Virginia Tech Hokies basketball. This man does a lot of things. I don't know if he played basketball. I know he played tight end for the Hokies. His quarterback was the coach at Tampa Bay. Really? Wow. Yeah. Wow. In Virginia Tech, that ACC, the ACC is, besides North Carolina, Duke, you have Florida State, you have Notre Dame, you have Wake. Happy International Women's Day. It's called. I made a little video for, ladies. There's a lot of successful women out there in the sports world. Like
let's play this little video here. Here's the Billie Jean King beating, Mr. Riggs there back in the 70s. That started.
Yeah, Battle of the Sexes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at that. Look at that old footage.
Yeah, it's called it. And
yeah.
I'll give a special shout out to a lady that you and I, Chris, know very well from the sport of bowling. That's Kimberly Pressler, who does the Lanesider. She's the Lanesider reporter for the PBA Tour on Fox Sports and FS1. World Series, guaranteed rate World Series of bowling is in outside of Milwaukee. And last weekend they had the Mark Roth Marshall Owen PBA Doubles Championship on your birthday. I'm trying
to get to. I made this clip here, and I think I put too much of this on here. But
yeah, it's called,
it should be cutting out here shortly. Yeah, I also put a couple of people on there as well. Okay, we're good here. All right, thank you, Billie Jean King. Thank you.
Yeah.
Our editing department kind of took a nap today.
Uh-oh.
That's me. The editing. I'm sorry, folks, for playing the whole tennis match from 1974.
Yeah, it's called Before I Was Even.
I had something cool on here. Just think.
But
get back. Get going here. Hold on. Yeah, this is a little more about it. So she was a pioneer, in women's sports because she
certainly was one of the greatest female tennis players ever.
Backhands, man. Look at the backhands.
Yeah.
Look at this. She's making him run all over the place.
I know. It's like, wow. I can remember when Martina Navratilova was playing, and Chrissy Everett and Steffi Graf and Monica Seles.
I did have something else out there. Kelly Kulick, who won the.
It's called Kelly Kulick won. The first female ever to win the PBA Tour event. Then we had Liz Johnson winning one. There's a lot of great female bowlers in the past. Lisa Wagner was a great female bowler. Right now, the PWBA Tour is going to get started in a couple months. Missy Parkins, a great female bowler. Got to give a call to Dasha Kovalova, who's from Ukraine. What's going on over there? I know it's not easy for her. I think she has family over there, still in Ukraine. And I'll say, if you haven't had a chance, and this week, the World Series of Bowling is being held in Wauwatosa, Wauwatosa, outside of Milwaukee, and actually, Townsend getting eliminated from the CAA tournament. I'll make a quick prediction on the championship game. I'm going with Delaware Blue Hens over the UNC Wilmington Seahawks, even though I live in North Carolina. It's called I got it. So,
I had a chance to. I didn't want to cut you off, but I had a chance to talk to Pat Scarry after the game last night, and this is still a positive season for the Tigers. They're going to the NITs, and they haven't in this area. We haven't had postseason basketball in so long because Townsend's been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and I asked him to look at the bright future, and this is what his answer was.
Herb FM Radio in Baltimore. Sorry for the tough loss tonight. Look at the positive side of it. You guys are actually playing middle of March, and we haven't had that in so much in a couple of years. Is that good for the team and actually build some confidence for the future?
Yeah, it's great for the program and our university. I mean, it's like I said, we won our first CAA championship and going our first NIT in the history of the program. I mean, I'm well aware that we never had a winning season in the America East or the CAA. Until we got in here a few years ago. So we definitely take pride in that. I think the last time we won a championship was in some league called the East Coast Conference. I couldn't even tell you who was in it. It's been that long ago. So I'm proud of our kids, and the goal now will be to reset and see if we can make a run in the NIT.
Yeah. So we'll see how they make a run of the NITs.
Yeah.
We'll see how they get there.
Yeah.
So let's give you some scores here in the ACC tournament. I think it just went final. Clemson beating NC State 70-64. So
Wow.
So Clemson will be facing Virginia Tech tomorrow night at 7:00 on ESPN2. If you guys want to watch basketball, on ESPN2, the ACC tournament from Brooklyn. Here on the station, we will be covering it from the post-game side on Zoom. So, we'll be doing some stuff periodically. Just check our Twitter handle. Like I did some interviews over the weekend and put some stuff out there because it was hard to put a show together when you only do 1 or 2 interviews.
Yeah. Well, I believe it. I believe it, Chris. It's hard to get everyone, because of, different times for each tournament.
Also, Adam, on this date in music history, we always try to do music history here.
I love it's called. I love my classic rock and roll, and Paul McCartney, man, oh man, one of the greatest ever.
This year in 1970, in this date in music history, I think it was 1974. He got busted because he grew some marijuana on his farm, and he said to the cop, and this is funny, some fans gave him seeds.
Wow. It was a crazy time in music history, back in the 70s. But I think it's now time to talk some more March Madness. Am I right, Chris?
Yeah. Well, also we got some other stuff too. We're waiting for Mike Burnop to join us. He's on his way back to his room because he went to the team room to watch the game with all his with the team of Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. So he's on his way. He just sent me a text message. He's a nice gentleman. He's been a friend of this show for a long time. On this date in 1966, some guy named Casey Stengel went back to down there in St. Petersburg, Florida, and he said to the reporters, he goes, "I'm going to be I just got elected in the Hall of Fame," because back then they have a 5-year waiting period before they elect anybody in the Hall of Fame. He was such a icon of a manager for the Yankees, and helped the Mets grow, start the organization. They waived that 5-year deal thing and went on with the plan.
That's
what it was on that date. We know we were just talking about March Madness. I have something from the Wayback Pile here.
All right, Chris.
Yes.
All right.
I interviewed some guy named Coach K.
Oh God, yeah, Mike Krzyzewski, who's
yes, but we'll talk about
Duke, and
we'll talk about Coach K after we talk to this famous guy who's the best tight end in Tech history, who is doing double duties. Our good friend Mike Burnop. Hi, Mike. How's Brooklyn? How was you guys face Clemson tomorrow? Sounds like an ACC football matchup.
No, I know it's. I'm kind of glad it worked out that way. I think the coaches are. I think the players are too, because they went down there Saturday and got beat at Clemson, senior night and whatnot, and all that good stuff around it. But I think they were looking forward to the rematch on a neutral court, and they kind of got their wish. So they look really good tonight, dismantling NC State.
Wow. Is NC State having that problem this year with Coach Keats? Because I know he came from North Carolina, Wilmington, and I thought he was doing great the last couple of years in Rhode.
Yeah, they've had a tough year. You sit there and look at them. I think they were 4-12 in the league, or 4-16. So yeah, it was a tough year for them. They lost maybe their best player, Manny Bates, before the season really got started. He's the one big guy. So now you look at them and they got like 2 or 3 guys over 6'9". So they struggle somewhat, and it's been a tough year for them. And we'll see what happens moving forward for them.
Yeah. Well, last weekend, Coach K's final game at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Did you get a chance to talk to Coach K once? And do you remember any of your, meetings with him? And what was anything exciting?
No, I never really had a chance to spend much time or talk to him. I mean, He just seems like he's always pretty guarded, even when he's around his people. So, but he always conducted himself with class. I mean, what a job he did for the game of basketball, and the run he had for 42 years. Ain't nobody gonna do that.
No, you'll never see that again, because you got Jim Boeheim of Syracuse, and I heard he's on his way to retirement. He's setting up stuff to retire, and You don't see that anymore. But now you have to you got to keep winning, and if you don't win, you're gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And you think about that. I mean, what a perfect time for him to get out after coaching both of his sons. You know, if they had a nice run in the tournament, that would be great. But then the other thing, you think about Jim Larinaga. How much longer is he going to coach at Miami? And Leonard Hamilton, how much is he going to coach at Florida State? I mean, this league is going to turn over top to bottom, right?
Yeah.
And so you saw some of the struggles of Carolina this year with their new coaching staff and all that. That might happen to Duke next year. Just, you know, it's all about players and that continuity and, you know, different face, different voices. And we'll see how that goes for them.
Yeah, I feel like I heard like everybody's talking about rivalries. Oh, that's dead. I mean, that rivalry's dead. You know, North Carolina and Duke. No, we just have a new chapter. You know, it's like with Florida, it was like with Virginia Tech and Virginia. You know, Frank Beamer goes out. You know, and then you had you know what's his name, Justin Fuente, coming in. And now you get the new coach. You know, it's just it's just the same football, but you got a new face running it.
Yeah, that's it. And now, you know, they got a new guy there now, Brent Pry, who was a GA back in the mid-'90s of all things. You know, he's worked his way up through the ladder, was a Penn State defensive coordinator. Now he's the head coach, and he's done a great job so far. There's a real buzz around Virginia Tech football right now, and spring practice starts March 18th, so that'll be fun to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, I think I like the coach because he actually was in a snowball fight with everybody. That was gret. I think that was great.
Yeah.
You know, what did you have these? You know, because Adam, there's a video out. You know, I was trying to pull it up one day, and he just comes out of his car and goes, "Oh, you guys want to play?" And he gets a snowball and he starts firing at people. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if you hit the Virginia Tech head coach right in the head, you know, that is not cool. You know, I'm thinking like he better put you on the football roster as somebody as a quarterback or something because you got a good arm.
Yeah, it's a tradition there. When the snow comes, kind of that first snowfall, the students have a big snowball fight on the drill field, and somebody told Coach Pry about that. He didn't know anything about it. And they said, "Come on, let's go take part." And he says, "I'm in, man." So they go down there and had a great time. The students appreciated that, and you know, he comes on to the basketball court some. One time, I guess when we were playing UVA, he came on the court and had the Commonwealth Cup in his hand. You know, I mean, that was pretty cool. So
nice.
Yeah, he's got it going right now. He's undefeated, and there's a buzz around the program, and everybody's excited.
So when you were in college, did you play basketball? Are you a good basketball player, or you just?
I played in high school, and I could have went to college and played at small colleges. You know, the Division III probably levels in both sports. But football is my main sport. Basketball, man, I just knew I was vertically challenged, right?
You're like me.
You're only going to go so far, no matter how high you can jump. So, yeah, football was clearly the path for me to take. But I love basketball. I love playing it in high school, those sweaty, hot gyms on Friday nights, man. And, you know, we were a Catholic team, so we played all these Catholic schools around the state, Benedictine and Bishop O'Connell. I mean, plus we played the public schools as well. So, yeah, it was a fun run.
Yeah, I have the disease of the lead in the shorts. You know, I can't jump real good. You know, like my mother's like, you got to, get off the ground. And I'm like, when I play basketball with my brothers, I always try to, because I'm tall, trying to block them. And they call them I hack people. And they're like, man, I found out an NBA game real quick. You know, 5 pounds, you know.
You were the hack of Shaq before Shaq?
Oh, my God. I was trying to block them. One time I hit somebody in the face. You know, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You know, like, I'm going for the ball, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Gravity caught up with you.
Exactly. Adam, you got something for Mike?
Yeah, talking about I know we're in the middle of March Madness. We're like you mentioned, Mike, it's 10 days to spring practice. And I know, the buzz around Virginia Tech with their new head coach after everything, after Coach Coach Frank Beamer did for that program. I know. So talk to us about this upcoming Virginia Tech football season, and how do you think the Hokies can challenge in their division?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't think anybody knows yet because of the situation at quarterback. There's 2 quarterbacks that played some last year, Connor Blumrick and, Taj Bullock redshirted basically, played a little bit in the bowl game. But then, Braxton Burmeister left went to San Diego State. And so they got into the portal and got 2 guys, one from Marshall, one from South Carolina. So, so much of football basis on how your quarterback does. So, you got to worry about that problem. You got to worry about the skill people, the receivers. Trey Turner decided to go early in the draft, and then Tavion Robinson decided to hit the portal. And so you've lost some skill people. So until we figure out what happens with the quarterback, I think everything's a little uncertain. Now, Coach Pry's background clearly was defense, right? So I think the defense ought to be pretty good because you got your linebackers back, the majority of your secondaries back, and they get some pieces to fill on the defensive line, but they recruited well. That was a big point of emphasis. And I think some of those guys that are coming back have got some experience as well. So, and I know he believes highly in big time in special teams, got a special teams coach. So, it could be like the old Beamer ball, right? We win on defense and special teams and hope the offense can score enough to win.
Exactly. Well, Mike, I'm going to let you go because I know you want to get something to eat, relax, get ready for, get your notes ready for tomorrow night's game against Clemson. And I know David Sweeney's not going to show up, so you're good to go.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, he might show up. You never know. That guy goes anywhere.
We were down there when we were down there Saturday. They were out there spring practicing. So
wow.
The weather's a lot different in Clemson than it is in Blacksburg. So we typically get a later start, but spring break week this week too. So they'll come back and get started right after that.
Exactly. So tomorrow night at 7:00 on ESPN2, or if you want to go online, you could listen to Mike and your broadcast partner's taking the hiatus a little bit. He's leaving, right?
Well, John Laser left the first of the year, so we've had 2 different guys come in. Adam Witten, who was kind of a studio guy down at Learfield. He used to be Bill Roth when we were doing the games together for 27 years. Adam Witten was our studio guy.
Oh wow!
For 8 or 10 years. So he stepped in and did 3 games with us as soon as Lays had left. But he's got 3 kids, and 2 of them he coaches their basketball team. So he had a limited thing. So Tim Bickford has filled in for us. He did the game when we were at Thanksgiving at Brooklyn for the preseason NIT when we had to go back to UVA for the football game on Saturday. We couldn't do the Friday game against Xavier, so he called that game, and he'll be with me the rest of the way. Process is ongoing of who they're going to get back for next year, and they want to try to get it done by the spring game.
Yeah, so we'll see. That's cool. And we know Mike's going to be there. Mike's going to be they might ask Mike to do the both play-by-play and color analysis. You could be like Vin Scully.
That would be trouble in River City.
Well, I hope to see you this summer at the ACC kickoff. Hopefully, we'll make a trip down there and we'll touch base down there. But if you guys make it to the tournament, I'll catch up with you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think it's gonna be exciting, and you never know. I mean, obviously, it's anybody's league to win, right? You got to feel for UVA with their quarterback back. That's a huge, big plus for them. Miami's got their quarterback back, so yeah, it's gonna be a little bit open. Carolina's looking and searching, and so. You just never know what might happen, but we'll see. It's going to come up fast and furious.
Exactly. Well, enjoy Brooklyn. Talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good, Chris. See you guys.
All right, man. See you. That's our good friend Mike Burnop, who good friend of the program. We love having him on. I wish I saw him, play tight end. I think he was. I hear stories that he was a great tight end, and maybe there's no footage. I'd love to find some footage of that guy. So let's change gears again. Let's go back to some college basketball. Let's bring in ZachWeiss, who covers Duquesne. Duquesne is the Dukes, the other Dukes, not the James Madison Dukes. This is Duquesne Dukes. Taking on in the A-10. They're taking on Rhode Island. So Zach, thanks for joining us tonight. Where are you right now? Are you in DC?
No, I'm not. I'm actually with my parents here in the Lebanon, Pennsylvania area.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. So how far is that from Pittsburgh? Yeah, because I'm here in Cockeysville, Maryland. How far is that from the city of Pittsburgh?
3.5, 4 hours. Not too bad.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. Just like us. Because you got to get up real early to get up there. It's nice. During the fall season. So with Rhode Island, the Dukes are playing Rhode Island on Wednesday afternoon at 3:00. Not a great season for the Dukes. So what do they got to do to try to be a surprise in this A-10 tournament?
For starters, they have to believe. Losing so many games as they have 16 in a row, it's very, very difficult to swallow. And just about everything imaginable that has gone wrong, could go wrong, has gone wrong. You talk about about not really much of a senior presence on this team. You talk about, from a post perspective, just a lot of injuries. So you have guys that are maybe more akin to playing the 3, playing the 4 and a 5. So you're talking about undersized posts playing against the Mitchell twins on that Rhode Island team, which in and of itself is a very, very difficult battle that they will have to fight. From a belief standpoint, you talk about assists, and Duquesne needs to set itself up, and normally they do that in Keith Dambrot's offense by passing the ball in the post and letting the offense feed, and they have not had the opportunity to do that because of the injuries. So you have point guards that aren't necessarily point guards that are trying to run downhill to create offensive action, and they just haven't been able to do that. And when you average maybe 12 assists a game in 40 minutes, that's not really reflective of what many wins would be. So they have had that obstacle where they've had to change their offense, and a lot of times they're playing from behind, and you can just tell the body language just gives it away across the board. So a lot has gone into the lack of success for the Duquesne men's basketball team this season, but as coach speak as it is, this is a different season, and if anybody can motivate the team to turn things around, Keith Dambrot, a guy who, of course, has coached LeBron James in the past, maybe he's that guy that can try to figure things out.
Yeah. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, I know you guys at Duquesne didn't really have a good season, but now it's one game at a time, and it all starts tomorrow afternoon against the Rhode Island Rams. So talk to us about, I know the team didn't have a good year, but talk to us about the team and what's it going to be like to play the Rhode Island Rams at a neutral site compared to playing them either in Pittsburgh or in Rhode Island.
Well, sure. Duquesne's a team that's always metaphorically played with a chip on its shoulder, and Duquesne was one of 3 teams that did not receive any all-conference recognition in the awards that were released today. So they already have that built into the shoulders. A guy like Primo Spears, who potentially could have been on the all-freshman team, he's a guy that could have warranted that honor, and unfortunately for him, did not merit that honor from the coaches who voted on the award. So you have that chip. You have, of course, they've started to figure things out a little bit this last week against GW and again against LaSalle this past weekend. Again, both losses against teams that maybe aren't the top achievers, but it's at least results that you can get yourself going with as a team. And playing some of their better basketball and conference play, transitioning into this conference tournament, maybe that's something that could work. Of course, not having Trey Williams for these last few games, who seems to be done for the year, is a very big loss for that Duquesne team. But you also have guys that can shoot. Primo Spears can shoot. Jackie Johnson can shoot. Kevin Easley can find ways to shoot. You go on down the line, you see Monir Hema is a piece that could be critical for Duquesne in the years to come, his development as he continues to build. He's a little bit raw still. He still gets the hands in and fouls maybe a touch too much, but he brings energy on the floor, and the support that he gives his teammates, whether on the court and on the bench, is something that could lift them as well. So could Duquesne pull the upset? It's possible. It's probably not likely, but it's definitely possible, and that's why you play. And being that it's on a neutral site, DC is about a 4-hour drive for them. It's not out of the realm of possibility for them to bring their own noise, bring their own belief. And if they do that, then dangerous things can happen. So I think Duquesne comes in with the goal of, realistically, they don't expect to win this thing, but they also realistically say, hey, maybe we can get a game, maybe we can get 2 games. And for the guys that do decide to come back next year, maybe that's enough to get this thing going in the right direction again.
Yeah, that's true, Zach. You got to build. You're building the future. I guess this year is a wipeout. There's probably no postseason. As soon as if you lose on Wednesday, everybody's going to go play golf and get ready for spring, football. And you guys are the spring football team actually taking on my Florida State Seminoles the first game of the year. So, I guess the shift of the sports world goes from basketball at Duquesne. You guys have a good baseball team, right?
No, they no longer have a baseball team at Duquesne.
Wow. Because Pittsburgh's such a great sports town for baseball. You got the Pirates and Panthers and all those people. Wow. But they switch now to Duquesne sports. They switched to the game against Florida State for football, and that's a big game for Duquesne because that's a big moneymaker.
Well, sure. And football is one of the two most regarded. I would say basketball is on the men's side is the most regarded. But of course, what Jerry Schmidt's been able to accomplish with the football team, being able to win several division titles and perennial powerhouse, unfortunately, as it's kind of been a theme for a lot of Duquesne's teams on campus, kind of been undone a bit by the injury bug the last couple of years. So it's kind of stunted what this team's true potential could be. But in terms of exposure, from a recruiting perspective, getting guys to believe that that level is the right level of play for them from a visibility perspective, you always want to schedule a match like that. So regardless of what the outcome is, they've already won. They've made their brand visible, they've made their name visible, and they've made their belief visible. And if it checks off those boxes from a Duquesne perspective, that's a good thing.
And if you lose 65-10 to Florida State, it's still a good day for Duquesne because you get a good paycheck and you help, whatever you guys need to do on campus to be part of that, get the football team, relevance against everybody else.
Well, sure. And I mean, the Duquesne itself has been kind of redeveloping as a brand. The arena got reconstructed, and now the Palumbo Center's become the Cooper Fieldhouse. Rooney Field, you've reimagined a new Duquesne logo, a new brand. So reimagining the brand also comes, football's been buying into that with playing these opponents, playing different teams, playing in Hawaii like they did last year. So this isn't anything outside of the ordinary. And they have Duquesne has an AD and Dave Harper that fully believes in that mission as well. So he's behind him. He's clearly behind Keith Dambrot. There's been a temptation, some words from some fans that have unfortunately for them have been unsatisfied with this season. And you kind of have to be, given how the basketball season's transpired. But for Dave Harper this early, not waiting until after the season to vocally be behind Keith Dambrot and to say, look, this season has not worked. There has been coaches that have missed games specifically to recruit. They haven't necessarily signed anyone for last year. And realistically, with the way the transfer portal's going, guys will go. It's the reality. They're not just going to go just because it's the hot trend, but let's face it, this season hasn't been a success by any way you shake it. So there's going to be guys that leave, and they're going to look to shift that culture, which is what it was in the first few years of Dambrot. The first year Keith came in, they almost doubled their win total, and they became a powerhouse to where before COVID, it looked like they would have made some noise in the A-10s, and last year could have been the season. Unfortunately, some attitude problems seemed to kind of bring a pendulum, and I think Keith Dambrot kind of had the fourth fork in the road, and he made the decision to retool things now. This isn't an NCAA tournament team, and to change the behaviors of this team, both on the court and off. And did he overcorrect? I think he will admit that he did. And you know what? He has some good kids out of the court right now, but on the court, it hasn't translated for a variety of reasons. And they're going to hit a reset button beyond this season, and they're going to see how that goes. But for now, with this current team, they're not expected to win tomorrow. I don't think they will win tomorrow, but again, that's why you play the games. It'll be fun to see what this last week has meant to them, and if they can carry that momentum forward. And if they can, then who knows? You never know. They're playing with house money this whole week. So by no means is this going to be a wasted trip for them. There's still plenty to fight for, and I think they do believe that they can get a result at least tomorrow.
Exactly. Well, Zach, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Enjoy the game tomorrow, and we'll keep in touch with you. We'll get you on before the Florida State game, and we'll preview Duquesne football.
All right, guys. Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Yeah. All right. That's ZachWeiss from the Pittsburgh Sports Now, who covers Duquesne, for sports. So let's bring in before we bring in this gentleman, Adam. Next week here on the program, we got a former Baltimore Oriole coming on. His name is, if you see the video right here, good old Larry Sheets will be joining us next week. He's actually the Gilman High School coach down the street here. He is a good Catholic school here in Maryland. So he's the head coach of that baseball team. So we'll talk to him about his team and maybe bring up some old days of Oriole baseball. So look at that, the old Seattle Mariner helmet.
Cool. Yeah, from the 80s.
Oh, my God. So we know this gentleman was part of the 80s.
Yeah.
George joining us. Hey, George, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, you didn't pronounce Duquesne, Duquesne. I was really happy for you.
Thank you. I've been working hard. I've been working hard on things, It's always good, So how you been, bud?
It's been a crazy week. sports, kind of crazy. A lot of different things going on, and doing the parental thing today. My daughter has the dress rehearsal tonight for her performance on Thursday night. So this is the life of being musician parents.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, before we bring in our good friend Gary McDaniel, our good friend, let's bring in. I got a video I found. I was doing something. It was Coach K's last game at Duke last week, and everybody was talking about it. I actually interviewed him on a teleconference call.
Wow, you dug into the archives?
Yeah, I run into the archives here. I found it on the HCC on YouTube. They used to put all the teleconference calls, and I'm like, all right, let me listen to myself. And I found myself. This is dated back in 2018, and I'm going to play it for you folks. You're going to probably wondering if I, lost a decibel in my voice.
It's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, here it is.
Sports Radio. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach K. How you doing?
Good.
Just talked about Pittsburgh on Wednesday night. Are they an improving team from last year?
Well, I think they're a building team. You're talking about building a program, and that's what he's doing. I mean, you have, there'll be a lot of freshmen on the court on Wednesday night, and Kevin's an outstanding coach, and he knows how to build programs. And last year was more, finishing off that 1 year, and now it's time to do that. And he's, these guys getting playing time. They're getting better. They play well together, and so that's what I see him. I just see him as a building program and a good one. And a good one. Like, they can shoot the ball, and they seem to have really good chemistry.
Not bad, huh?
Yeah, impressive, Chris. Really cool. Really cool.
Did you hear my voice? I sounded like I got hit in the downstairs. Hi, Coach Jay. How you doing? Can you ask me a question about Pittsburgh? That's what I sounded like. I was like, oh my God, what happened to me? Did I get run over by a car? I was like, geez. Sorry. Talking to him is actually nerve-wracking because he could tear you a new one just like anybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in a polite way. Like if you think Nick Saban's bad.
Chris, did you see that list of names on that press conference?
Yeah.
There's not many left.
No. Kevin Smalling is gone.
I was just about to say that, George.
Jim Christensen got fired last year.
Yeah.
Who else on that list?
I think
is no longer.
I think there's only one left.
Yeah, Mike Bray was the only one still there.
I think Mike Bray's the only survivor there.
Yeah. Well, Hamilton's still there. Hamilton's been there for a while.
Yeah, Hamilton's still at Florida State.
Yeah. So that's really. I got to bring that on the show on Tuesday for George to hear. Yeah. Yeah. So that's not bad. I know this gentleman used to rock. This guy used to do a lot of concerts. Now he's doing Clemson football. So he probably ran into some cool people on his way. So we're bringing our good friend Gary McDaniel. Hey, Gary.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How are you doing?
All right.
I just sitting here having some fun, hanging out with my girlfriend and talking football, and just got back from spring practice, and I want to tell you guys what we've been seeing.
Nice. Yeah, I just played. I talked to Coach K once on the teleconference call, back in 2018, and my voice was so high pitched. It was not even funny. I was like, "Hey, Coach K, what? I was like, what happened here?" I'm like, have you ever had that problem before when you interviewed somebody for the first time who was like a very
in the music business? You talked about my music career. I spent 30 years tour managing for people like Lionel Richie, Rihanna, John Legend, 98 Degrees, and then Charlie Daniels, and every heavy metal band you can think of. The best story I've ever got is there's a band out of Norway, and if you ever know about Norway, they have this thing called black metal. These guys dress up in this white paint. It's called face paint. They call it corpse paint, and they're all they're singing some stuff, and you're like, "Good God, I'm gonna go to hell just for listening to it." So I'm on tour with these guys. They're selling out 5,000 seat venues, right? And they're all Norwegian. They're all geniuses. They're all rich. So I get on the bus with them every night. I'm the only English guy on the bus. I'm the tour manager, and they start talking between themselves in Norwegian. Hey guys, quit talking dolphin for a few minutes. And the best thing about it is this heavy metal band that was like the Satan worshipers from hell. They would turn on Poison and party on the bus all night long like they were like little kids. The exact opposite of what they were actually supposed to be. And now in football, Jimbo freaking Fisher, guys, give me a break. I've interviewed the man a million times. You think I talk fast? Oh
my God.
He's like listening to the guy from that old 80s commercial that would just jabber on.
Yeah. Let me do Jimbo for you. I could do it perfectly. Well, we did a great job today. We played the ball right there. We did a good job with it. I'm waiting for like a promotion. I love Jimbo Fisher. Okay, but I'm waiting for like he's going to drop like, yeah, I went to Taco Bell yesterday. I got a nice sub, nice tacos there, and he's going on. I'm like, okay. All right, calm down. But
with him, you can actually make out what he's saying. When you go interview Ed Orgeron, you have to take a Cajun interpreter with you because you have no clue what's coming out of that guy's mouth.
The guy from Waterboy.
Do like that, like
wide receivers. What, coach?
It sounds like you're interviewing Ricky Bobby on
Ricky Bobby sounds like he's a literary teacher compared to Coach O. I'm gonna tell you right now.
The assistant head coach from Waterboy.
Yeah, Coach O.
Yep, that is Coach O.
Exactly. So how's spring practice going? You guys are up and running, and
it's a laundry list of injuries. Everybody's wearing yellow. All the guys that contributed last year, the Will Shipleys, the guys like Joseph Ngata, he's out there. He's actually practicing, but you might as well say he's in yellow. The guy gets injured. He's like glass. He gets injured every spring. But I tell you what, I have seen a lot of young guys. And speaking of wide receivers, a freshman named Adam Randall. He took the number 8, which was Justin Ross's number. Now, I'm not kidding. I've covered Clemson sports for 12 years. Justin Ross was one of the most physically advanced kids I ever saw outside of Sammy Watkins coming into the program. This Randall kid, I had to do a double take. I thought Justin Ross had decided to take another year eligibility. He walked on the field first day of practice, and I was like, whoa. And then I watched him in practice. He's already running with the 2s, and he's absolutely smooth as silk and about 215 pounds. And I'd be scared to line up in the slot against this guy.
Jeez.
Hey Gary.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I'll say the same thing when I first started covering not my first season, but when I saw Kyle Hamilton take the field.
Yeah, oh yeah. The great
you could tell
Isaiah Simmons.
You just know when you see a great player.
Well, here's the thing
it pays out.
Just like you said about Kyle is like an Isaiah Simmons. That is a freak. Okay, that's the kind of guy when you put him out there, there is no way to defend him or to game plan against him because he's the outlier. You don't find too many Isaiah Simmonses or Trevor Lawrences running around. Okay, but Isaiah Simmons was an absolute freak and still is. He's out there in the NFL killing people. And Kyle Hamilton, he's heading the same direction. When you're 6'4", 215 pounds, running 4.3 40, and can cover like that and have got mental skills like those two have, and they were a step ahead of everybody. The only guy Clemson worried about in that ACC championship game 2 years ago was Kyle Hamilton.
Absolutely.
The only guy they schemed around. And if you watch Isaiah Simmons, like the last time Clemson played Ohio State, watch the interception on the sideline in the fourth quarter. It's the absolute thing of beauty. He's center field. He swings all the way over he read the whole play, comes swinging over out of nowhere. Nobody makes that kind of play. Those guys are freaks. The Hamiltons, the Simmonses, those are generational type players.
Yep, absolutely.
Exactly. Hey, Adam, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm not far from you because I live not far from Asheville, North Carolina. So we love
Asheville.
We have the reporter named Maria Santoro who works at our local ABC affiliate. She's gone down. I think she went down last year to cover all the Clemson home football games, including the bowl game. Yeah. But one sport I want to talk about, is the Clemson college baseball team. It is college baseball season, and they just wrapped up the series against their arch rivals from Columbia, South Carolina, and South Carolina Gamecocks. So, talk to us about the Clemson college baseball team.
I tell you what, guys, it's a trip. I live right here in Clemson. I'm a mile from campus, a very small town. The campus, there's 13,000 residents in Clemson. There's 24,000 students, an actual college town. Okay, I've been to South Bend many times. Even when I was a tour manager, I did many shows at the arena there. And it's a beautiful beautiful college town. But this place, the college surrounds the entire town. I mean, it's like that. But I had, listen to this, on Saturday I had softball. They're top 5 or top 10 playing a top 5 team. I had baseball undefeated against South Carolina in the series every year. I had spring football practice, okay? The last basketball game of the year, senior year, the team's on a 4-game winning streak. All that going on one time on campus here in one day.
Oh, wow.
You will talk about nuts. Me and my interns were running around going ballistic trying to get all that coverage in. But the baseball team, a very big surprise, 11-0. The thing with Clemson baseball, it has a great history. Dozens and dozens of NCAA tournament appearances. Never won the title, but they come close a few times. It's just that they're in a conference with Miami, Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, even Virginia Tech are all great baseball teams. South Carolina, our arch rival, 2 national titles in the last 7 years, you know. They're always out there. And now we're actually watching this team outpace that team, which is really good. Poor thing for our poor rivals here in South Carolina. Clemson owns them in soccer, football, baseball, basketball. It's women's basketball. Hey, we still own them all the time, but the last few years you can't get a better women's basketball team than that. The Gamecocks.
Hey, Gary, the South Carolina women's team lost to Kentucky on that last-minute shot on Sunday.
Very big surprise, because nobody's out recruiting South Carolina attendance-wise as far as recruiting in basketball. That's a great coach over there. I lots of respect for her, it's just great seeing things change right here. I think Clemson's brought it woke up South Carolina's football program and a few other things with what their success has been lately because they're tired of getting handed their tails every year and looking up to us, and they're in the SEC, and that's all they can go is they wave an SEC banner and go, okay, we'll wave a few national titles at you. How about that?
That's true.
The funny thing about the South Carolina fans, guys, just to give you a little jab, Clemson's got, I think, 21 ACC titles, been to the national title game how many times, now how many national titles, how many consecutive ACC titles, all these are accolades and big bowl games. They've won every bowl out there but the Rose, and they only haven't played there. South Carolina, in their entire history, won ACC championship in 1969. That's all they got to hang on the entire stadium.
Jeez. Wow.
Jeez.
The biggest bowl they've ever played in, the Outback Bowl.
Wow. Gary, let's talk about this kid from my neck of the woods. Your defensive tackle, number 11. He's a beast.
I just saw him. He's in yellow. Not going to practice the spring because of the knee injury, but he was running around doing his thing. He was actually in Indianapolis at the combine. They took 3 players up there, super juniors or seniors up there, and he was one of them. Brian is an absolute freak, guys. He's a round 1 guy. You know that. He's a 2-man. He takes up 2 guys everywhere he steps up into. You put him on the field, he's automatically going to take up 2 blockers and free somebody up. If you put him outside in a 4 technique, look out. He's coming around. He's got the speed. He's got the power. He's just another one of those guys you go out there and find. I tell you, one of my favorite guys from your area is Trey Williams. Okay, you're right there in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. He's been hurt, bad shoulder, but this guy is also an NFL guy one day. Coming up there to play, and it's just weird, man. The luck of the Irish. You guys have been recruiting nationally for decades. Decades. Yep. That's how that blue blood came about. This school under Dabo Swinney now can walk out into Texas and snag the number 1 quarterback in the country. By the way, Cade Klubnik, the real deal, gentlemen. Me, DJ Uiagalelei, his dad was my head of security on Rihanna. Okay, so I've known the kid since he was about this big.
Wow.
And so all of a sudden I meet him years later. Okay, so here's DJ living 2 miles from me. His dad calls me every other day. How's my boy doing? How's my boy doing? And I'm telling him, you better watch out. The kid in Texas is going to come in and take his job by midseason, just like Trevor did on Kelly a few years ago, if he doesn't step it up. And you at the Notre Dame game a couple years ago when DJ stepped in, that was one of those performances that you just looked at and went, wow, this dude is going to be lights out. You know what I mean? Most yards ever against the Notre Dame team. Think about that.
Right.
Ever against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That kid in one night threw more yards than anybody ever did against that team. I was like, how? And he was just, that whole season he was stepping in and doing great things, but he was not taking the brunt of the punishment, and he hurt his shoulder. When he did that, I think he took the run game out of the picture for the first half of last season, which let teams know, hey, we'll just dial in on his receivers. And then you combine that with no offensive line. The offensive line was not the same in any one game. They had injuries the whole year. Same thing with the wide receiver crew. Kind of hard to get continuity there. But DJ lost 15 pounds. He's gotten his release more compact. It looks great. And I'll tell you now, there's 2 true 5-star round 1 quarterbacks walking around the field at Clemson right now.
Jeez. Well, George, you guys are playing them, in November. And what's the weather like in November? Sometimes it could be 15 degrees.
Bucket list coming to see you, brother.
Absolutely, Gary. We got to get together.
I want to go. What's the place there? The chocolate store.
South Bend Chocolate Factory.
I'm there.
All right, I'll join you, George. I'll come out if I get permission from the head boss here.
Dinner, and there's a chocolate store on George.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I gotta get a special waiver to leave.
Hey, Gary, going back to that game really quick with DJ, it's kind of hard, right? Because these guys are great in high school. They step into the college ranks, and we see where it also translates from college to the NFL. It's a different game. It moves at a different speed, and it's a hard adjustment. And you go from being the big guy on campus in high school to, oh my God, now I have the weight of a team on my shoulders at a college level. It can change. It could change a player.
I think that's a good point, because last year I think the change from that last year to this year. Because I mean, last year it's the same thing. Speed was still the same. The game didn't change. Same players, but the weight of the responsibility of being a team leader came onto his shoulders. Okay. Yep. And I'll give you a good example. Every quarterback at Clemson, going back to Taj Boyd, who's now the staff, has always been there for summer camp to train the other quarterbacks coming in, the high school kids, as a volunteer. I didn't see DJ there last year. Okay. I didn't see DJ on campus in the summer with his wide receivers tossing balls, doing 7-on-7 stuff on their own time. I saw that come out of Trevor every single year he was here. I think that kind of stuff is, the NIL has gotten kids thinking, a little bit, nothing against the kids, but I come from the music industry where ego rules, and these kids are walking around now thinking, hey, I'm going to schools picking them for the NILs. I'm not picking them to be developed. And he came to Clemson to be developed. And I think he's finally starting to get that. And last year with all the injuries, again, taking on all that into consideration, I think that was the factor that held him back. At the end of the season, he got better, more consistent with his decision making. He was scared to run the ball at first. You watched the Georgia game, okay? That was one play away from being an overtime game. Okay, I was there, and Chris was there, right? I saw you there.
No, I was actually at home because I was on the video call, but I was watching it. Yeah, that was
that game. The interception that went for the pick six. That wasn't DJ. That was Justin Ross's fault. He broke the wrong way. Yep. Okay, he broke the wrong way on the route, and that was the only reason that play happened. DJ had 6 interceptions out of 10 last year that were either deflected or something like that. So I think the combination of not having the constant, the wide receiver core constantly changing, and the not a consistent offensive line, 2 big factors for a quarterback. I mean, and again, a freshman backfield. In the past, Clemson was able to surround Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence and Kelly Bryant and guys with a big group of senior-laden guys that helped him get through everything. This kid last year was a freshman backfield. He turned around to Shipley and go, hey, what do you see? Hey, you tell me what you see. And then look at the sidelines. In the past, Trevor Lawrence just walk up to the line and go and call it out and go.
Exactly.
That's a big difference. And I can't wait to come to Notre Dame for the game. The other thing last year with the COVID thing, and it just wasn't the same feeling. For anybody, any stadium, and I think that's another reason DJ was able to excel last year was he wouldn't sit in front of 60,000 screaming at him. Really, really going at him. I imagine him showing up at Notre Dame with a full house. On a snowy day. that one right there would scare me.
Yep.
Go ahead, dude.
So Gary, there was a situation, I believe it was towards the end of the season and was around the time of the first letters of intent. Coach Sweeney seemed a little bit upset with what's going on with the NIL stuff and the way some of these other colleges are taking advantage. What are your thoughts?
Look at A&M, look at Miami, look at what's going on at Southern Cal. They're literally waving the NIL out in front of the education. They're waving the NIL in front of the development. It all comes before what we all grew up as what we thought college football was all about. And if you're like me, I'm a traditionalist. I love the idea. I mean, I went to Clemson, and I know what it's like to pay to go to school there. And for a kid to get handed that education for free room and board, and these stipends. Man, those kids walk out. If you're a Nike kid and you go to Clemson, you're walking out every year with $10,000 worth of free Nike junk on you. I mean, that's like a $10,000 paycheck right there. Even though it's handed to you in shoes and clothes, I watch them turn around and sell that stuff at the end of the year online. You know, I mean, the stipends, the help they got. And I'll give you a great example, guys. Legacy. Kelly Bryant went to Clemson because of this guy right here. He was not getting the Clemson offer until I brought Chad Morris to a ball game one day and said, watch this kid play quarterback. And they finally decided to offer Kelly, okay? And I told Kelly when he got the offer, I said, you got 1 year, bud. I said, because when Trevor Lawrence shows up, you're going to have to change to either a wide receiver or a safety to get into the league. You're not a quarterback for the NFL. Okay, and I was hired to come help him. His folks hired me as a publicist. So when we got Kelly there, Kelly's uncle, who's a best friend of mine and a trainer, when the transition happened in midseason there, Kelly got all despondent and went, I'm going to transfer immediately. Was looking for a transfer. So what did he give up? He gave up that Clemson legacy, a local kid. So if he would have graduated Clemson, he could be just like Taj Boyd onto the GA staff or working locally. A local booster would be there for him forever and ever. He gave that up to go 6 months in Missouri, never go to class, no loyalty to the school, no loyalty from the school to him, and he's done. Out there trying to find himself a spot in the free agent market or on a practice squad, and instead he could be here working for a local realty company or something, you know, just living off his Clemson legacy. And remember the game? Remember the game? Trevor got the job. Syracuse came into town. Trevor gets hurt in the first quarter, and Chase Bryce wins on the 4th and 16. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Chase Bryce made his name on one play on one game. Guess who would have been the guy that would have been a superstar that damn game if he'd have stuck around for 4 days? It would have been Kelly Bryant, and his legacy would have been sealed. And that's the kind of stuff you give up for NIL or for transfer portal. I think the transfer portal was the worst thing you ever had in college football. I hated free agency when they destroyed the Dolphins and the Steelers and the Cowboys and the Redskins and the Raiders of the 70s. Okay, I love those teams because you could always count on those same squads being there every year until the World Football League showed up and free agency. And we thank you guys in baseball for screwing up sports because now it's college football and you're literally going to be buying players. I'm dealing with coaches and parents right now asking me about NIL before they ask me about the school.
Wow.
And that's, to me, that's it's killing it.
So Gary, hey, Gary, we got to get going. So we'll talk to you a little more during spring ball down the road, okay?
We'll talk more spring ball anytime.
All right, buddy.
Talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Thanks, Gary.
Yep.
Thanks, Gary.
That's Gary McDaniel, our good friend from Clemson Sports News. So let's bring in. We're up against the clock here, real quick, George. You know, it's going to be a great year for college football. You know, with all these great teams, and we'll talk more about that in the next couple months. But you know, I'm looking forward for some college football.
You're bringing out a good guy right now, by the way.
Yeah, and I want to join you guys. I think that'll be good. Yeah, hopefully. So let's bring in our good friend, Bill Wagner, who writes for the Capital Gazette. Hey, Bill, sorry about that, man. I appreciate you sticking around. Sorry about that. Gary was talking about everything about all the endorsement deals he was doing. So, so thanks for joining us. Talk about tomorrow night's big game for the basketball team. They win, they go to the NCAA tournament.
Right. Well, the top two seeds were Colgate and Navy, and the seeds have held. Navy really had to work hard to get to the final. The game with Boston University was a absolute barn burner, a real war back and forth. Boston pushed Navy to the limit, went to overtime, but Navy was able to pull it out. Two seniors, John Carter Jr. and Greg Summers, really led the way. And I think that's what it's all about in this time of year, seniors who don't want to have their seasons end. And, Colgate is a veteran team. This is a very, very good Colgate team. They're the defending Patriot League champions, looking to go back to the NCAA tournament in back-to-back years. And they're also very senior-laden, a lot of veteran players with a lot of experience. And obviously, they're going to be on their home floor there at Cotterell Court in Hamilton, New York. And should be a great atmosphere. I'm heading up there tomorrow. I fly into Syracuse and drive to Hamilton, which is about an hour away from Syracuse, pretty far upstate New York. But looking forward to it and see if Navy has not made the NCAA tournament, guys, since 1998.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Because Navy used to be a fixture in the NCAA tournament with some guy named David Robinson back when I was a kid. Yeah.
Well, Don DeVoe, since they joined David Robinson, actually, when he was at Navy, they were in the Colonial Athletic Association.
Okay.
And yes, they went to the NCAA tournament 3 of his 4 seasons at Navy. But during the Patriot League era, Don DeVoe was the former coach, and he led Navy to 3 NCAA tournament appearances during his tenure. But they have not been since '98. Now, their last time they were even in the final of the Patriot League tournament was 2001.
Wow.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah, they played 1998 against some team in North Carolina. That's a I never heard of North Carolina. Is that a Division II school or? Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. They played that game all the way out in Ogden, Utah. I wasn't on the Navy beat at the time. My predecessor, Joe Gross, was, and he went all the way out to Ogden, Utah to cover that game, and Carolina smacked Navy pretty good. I mean, that's usually the fate of the Patriot League champion, is to play a very high seed, always a power conference. But Patriot League teams have won games in the NCAA tournament before, and I can't tell you what, Colgate and Navy are both capable if they get there.
Exactly. Talk about the Patriot League. It seemed like it was a very good league this year. It seemed like it was, from my distance, it looked like it was very competitive.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of good teams, and it was top heavy. The Colgate went 16-2. Navy, I think, was 12-6, and they were second place. But at one point, there was like 4 schools tied for second. Loyola, Maryland was in that mix. Lehigh is a very good program. They're in the mix. So there was top 4 schools were, kind of separated from the lower half. But yes, it was some good teams, some good games. And I mean, the 4 schools I mentioned, Boston University, Lehigh, Navy, and Colgate, those are the 4 semifinalists. All 4 of those programs are very good and could win the tournament. But here we are, Colgate, Navy, and Colgate swept Navy during the regular season. They won both games at Indianapolis and on their home court.
George, go ahead, man.
Well, Bill, as you and I have spoken in the past, nothing but respect for the Navy program. There's always the added pressure on a Navy athlete to perform at a higher level, because not only are they playing a sport, but they're also going through the Naval Academy. So it's always tougher for these guys. And I'm not going to say it's harder for a football player, because they got to put on weight to be able to play to play their games. But the Navy basketball players, it's not really, it's not putting on weight, it's putting on muscle that they're going to be looking for anyway. So what is the day in the life of a Navy basketball player?
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting. If you go and look at Navy season, they are far better on the road than they are at home. And there's a reason for that. When they play on the road, they leave the day before. So they get to go be in a hotel, get off their feet, relax. Their hotel's a heck of a lot more comfortable than the dormitory rooms in Bancroft Hall. I can tell you that. And then obviously they don't have the typical day. The midshipmen wake up at 5:30 in the morning. They've got their morning formation. They've got to be with their company for formation. And then it's just nonstop for the rest of the day. The day is completely plotted out. It's classes, then noon meal formation. Then they have more classes, and then they get what they call the sports period. If you're a varsity athlete, that's your sports period is practice. But for those who are not varsity athletes, some are club sport athletes, or they also some just run around the yard. And you'll see, you come to the Naval Academy around 4:00, and you'll see all sorts of midshipmen jogging around the campus, and that's because they're fulfilling the physical mission part of their day. But that's part of the reason why Navy's not as good at home, is because it's an awfully long day, and you finally get done at 3:30, and there's just not a lot of time to put your mind and focus on basketball, and you're also very, very tired. You don't get naps. They don't take naps at the Naval Academy, or if they do, they steal 20 minutes here and there. Like a basketball player might come and sleep on the training table before practice starts. But, they go on the road and they're in a hotel and they're there a day before, and then the day of game is way less stressful than a road game.
like I said, Bill, way more respect for the academies. And you're, by the way, one of the better Twitter guys out there. So I've been following you for a while, and we've corresponded back and forth. So
yeah, thank you.
you
Appreciate
got
it.
good stuff.
Yeah, Bill's one of those great writers around here that basically should be getting more, accolades, because you do a great job, Bill. With the stuff on the budget that you have with the Capital Gazette. Like basically you have like a small budget and like it's just you, right?
Yeah, for a lot of we have a high school reporter, but other than that, I mean, I don't just cover Navy athletics. I'll tell you that. Which at most papers you have a beat like Navy athletics, which goes nonstop. I mean, it starts August 1st when Navy football begins practice, and it doesn't end until the end of May when lacrosse season wraps up. Yep. I'm right now about to begin triple time. We've got basketball season, winter season overlapping with spring season. So I've already been covering Navy baseball, Navy men's and women's lacrosse. Well, next week we add spring football, which is very important. Anything Navy football is important. So I love Navy basketball, and I love that their season is extended. But on the other hand, I'm not going to be disappointed when it ends, because right now they're trying to cover winter and spring sports simultaneous. It's not easy, folks.
Exactly. Hey, Adam, you have one
Yeah, you're mentioning Navy. You're mentioning Navy lacrosse, and they're I'm assuming they're one of the top powerhouses in the Patriot League. So talk to us about the Navy lacrosse team and
Navy
the competition.
Yeah,
they have to go against in the Patriot League.
Yeah, they were picked third in the Patriot League. Loyola is kind of the powerhouse team in the Patriot League. Has been pretty much since they came in. They're struggling though. Loyola has had some early season struggles. They're not playing very good defense. They got goalie issues. Lehigh is the team that looks to me like they could be. They were picked second in the league, but based on early season results, I think maybe Lehigh is now the favorite. Lehigh's got one of the best face-off men in the entire country. He dominates. Navy just played Lehigh and lost 11-7. That face-off man, his name is Sisselberger. He won 18 of 22 face-offs. So that's what they call playing make it, take it lacrosse. And it's not good for the team that does not win the face-offs. They score goals and they get the ball right back, and you're sitting there playing defense. But Navy's going to be right there at the end. But they're also a young team. And one of the interesting elements here that's been happening across the board in the Patriot League is extra years. So you have super seniors now, graduate students. Navy played a Boston University team in basketball that had 2 graduate students on the roster. So this is a theme across the board. And guess who doesn't have super seniors or graduate students?
Navy.
Yeah, they have to serve their country. They nobody's coming back for extra years at the service academy. So this has really hurt Army and Navy within the Patriot League across the board in all sports. They're having to play teams that are way more veteran. So for instance, Navy men's lacrosse, they had a COVID year, in which they played like 5 games. Then last year they had a month-long athletics pause at Navy during the spring. So that reduced the number of games. So Navy's got junior lacrosse players who've played 15 college games. Mm-hmm. Loyola has graduate student lacrosse players who've played 145 college games. Jeez. So it's a dramatic difference, guys.
Wow.
Exactly. Well, Bill, I know you were going to get tired watching Colgate, because after the basketball game, you're going to see them in lacrosse. So right. You're going to be a expert on Colgate University. Yeah,
that's right. He's going to change his toothpaste.
Yeah,
to Crest. All right, Bill. Thanks so much for coming on. Safe trip to Syracuse, and hopefully you can bring one home to the state of Maryland, and we have somebody who will be in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it'll be great. People were. It turns out the 2 best teams in the state of Maryland this year have been Towson University and Navy, and Towson got upset by Delaware in their tournament, their conference tournament. So now Navy's the last hope for a team from Maryland to make the NCAA tournament.
Exactly.
Go midshipman.
Yeah, go midshipman. Yeah, it's called Go Navy Beat Colgate instead of Go Navy Beat Army.
All right, Bill. Thanks so much for being available and safe trip.
All right, fellas. See you, man.
Take it easy, Bill.
See you later.
All right, that's Bill Wagner, who does a great job for the Capital Gazette down here in the Annapolis area. So that's going to be a very interesting weekend for him. A lot of Colgate stuff. Before we bring in the Rhode Island Rampage, the guy who's the writer for that nice publication, I saw this tweet 2 minutes ago, George. Liberty Baseball knocked off North Carolina.
Wow.
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 Yeah.
Oh.
1-0 was the score.
Baltimore Stadium in Chapel Hill. Wow.
Yeah, 1-0.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's doing great down there, Scott Jackson. We had him on right after he took 2 out of 3 from the Gators.
Yes, he did. Yes, we did, Chris.
Yeah. So real quick before we bring in Dave here, did you hear this today, George and Adam? Major League Baseball is going to be on Apple TV.
I saw that. It's like, what?
Yeah. Apple TV Plus. They're going to be putting games on there, and it's run by the MLB Network.
Okay. Okay.
I know. Look at George. George. You look like a milk carton. You're like, why? Why? Yeah. Don't ask me. I think it's ridiculous. I think they got to worry about getting a agreement together first, then worry about broadcast schedules.
Thank you, Chris. I'll agree with
whoever
that.
Who's playing who, and if they don't get their deal done by midnight, the Orioles won't have their home opener against the Milwaukee Brewers. And I think when I was a kid, I think they opened up one of the seasons against Milwaukee. I think it was like a slugfest.
Oh, it's a mess.
It's a mess.
Oh,
it's a mess. It's
wow.
a mess. So I forgot to get you the update schedule. I'm so sorry, sir. I apologize.
You're fired.
I'm fired. Stay out.
I'm taking over the rights.
All right, George.
All right, there you go. Yeah, next week, folks, George will be running the program. I want the suspension.
We're going to be running Herb Light FM.
Herb Light.
All right, George. All right.
The smooth sports show. Yeah. Oh my God. I love having you guys on this program. It makes me laugh. You're wondering where Steve is tonight. His sister has a birthday, so happy birthday to her sister.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so and then somebody had a birthday on Sunday. I think what's going on here?
By the way, I wished him happy birthday, and he didn't say thank you, by the way.
I didn't see anything. I was looking at my Twitter, my Facebook. Where did you send it? I was looking all day.
I even said, Chris Heidel of Herb FM is having a birthday today, and nothing, Adam, nothing.
I
wish
you happy birthday on Twitter.
Yeah, he's turning me off now. Let me find out here because I'm looking for I do have a crappy phone, so it's probably my phone carrier. We'll talk about that later. Let's bring in Dave here. Yeah, good old
Did
Dave.
anybody from the PBA tour wish you happy birthday, Chris?
David Mott didn't say it. He sent it to me late on Sunday night. And I said, "Good, you had a great broadcast." He goes, "Yeah, it was pretty good."
All right.
I tried. So we're bringing Dave here.
Something to you, for you, but God, hey, it's called.
Yeah, I'm bringing Dave Coley here. I think I'm saying it right. That's Coley. Hey, Dave, am I saying your last name right?
Scully.
Okay.
Yeah. Close enough. Close enough.
Right.
Yeah,
I've heard them
They
all.
butcher my last name every day, so it's like okay.
Don't worry, Dave. He ruined my name for a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
My last name isn't.
He's throwing me under the bus.
Isn't easy to say either, but.
I think George is throwing me under the bus. What did I do to you, man?
By the way, here it is, right here. Happy birthday, Chris, aka Herb FM Sports Radio.
Okay, let me see. Show me. Oh, okay. Let me see.
Nice.
I
He
appreciate.
got everybody else. Everybody. He thanked everybody else but me.
I didn't see it. I swear. We'll have this debate
What?
tomorrow.
Dave, you came in the middle of something.
No worries.
All right, let's go back to the task at hand here. Yeah.
Talk with David. He's important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
we're
really.
all
I
taking
promise.
On, Duquesne on tomorrow, so that could be an easy in the win column, But what do they got to
Yeah.
do to make it not like a, because Duquesne can actually beat them. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, URI is playing just an exceptionally bad brand of basketball right now. It's painful to watch. I don't know if you're trying to plug URI Duquesne, but I don't know why anyone that's not a fan of those two teams would ever watch this game. It's going to be ugly. But yeah, I agree. I think URI is going to win. That gets them against Richmond in the next round. I don't think that will go well. So yeah, it could be a short stay. I mean, URI's lost 11 out of their last 13. But one of those wins was over Duquesne. So yeah, URI's bad, but I think Duquesne's worse. So I think that's where it'll end up, that they'll win that one game and probably head on out of there.
Exactly. Go ahead, George. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, Chris. Thanks. Appreciate it. Happy birthday, by the way.
Go ahead.
So what's going on out there? What's been the change?
Well, geez.
I know it's kind of a loaded statement, but I didn't need it to be that way. But I'm just looking for the
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, they started off the season. What were they, like 12-4 and 3-1 in the conference or something like that? But they really played a super easy schedule, especially in the non-conference. They even opened up A10 play with a really easy stretch. So I think once they got into the weeds of A10 play, they were really exposed as a not very good team. And obviously Dan Hurley, who they had previously, who's now at UConn, led them to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. It was an absolute glory years for the program, at least since I've been alive, with all apologies to the 98 team that made the Elite Eight. But yeah, and then, David Cox, who was an assistant under Dan Hurley, took over. He was highly recommended by Hurley. He had some coach in waiting language in his contract, but he doesn't really seem like he's an effective head coach. He was a very effective assistant coach. I think that's his sweet spot. But in terms of head coaching, they seem to have gotten worse every year he's been here, as Hurley's guys kind of faded away and Cox's guys kind of came in. It's you've seen the change, and it's a change for the worse, unfortunately.
So you got something's got to stop the bleeding, right? It's got to. Someone's got to come up and say something. What's the message been around, the URI campus?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot find a fan that doesn't want David Cox gone after this season. He only has 1 year left on his contract. The buyout is pretty low. I think it's only like $350,000, which is chump change for a coach buyout for sure. So, barring a run in the A10 tournament, which I don't think anyone is predicting, I think this could be the last game or 2 or 3 or however long they last the A10 tournament for David Cox. And I think we could be entering a coaching search in the offseason.
Yeah, I just found it. Yeah, I love my phone. Yeah, I just found it. Thank you, George, for my birthday. Super surprise. Appreciate it. I just found it. I hate carriers. Anyway, let's go back to the But like you said, you had Dan Hurley there, and he went to UConn, and I think it was pretty funny. A week ago, you got kicked out of the game for pooping up the crowd, and my girlfriend Nicole was like, "You got kicked out of the game for that?" Like,
he has a reputation. Yeah, he has a reputation for sure. And you saw it at URI too. He doesn't like officials, and officials don't like him. His players love it. His players absolutely love it, and they totally buy in. But he has a bit of a temper. It's funny when you hear him talk, like in the post game, he's so calm and mild mannered and everything. And then you see him on the sideline, and he looks like he's about to kill 5 people. So it's very interesting. But yeah, he was. I'm a huge fan. I'm not a UConn fan. I never will be. I disliked UConn before I even knew who Dan Hurley was. But I'll always pull for him. It's turned me into a quasi UConn fan, but I hope they do well. They'll be in the tournament this year. That's what he does. He's a tremendous coach. URI's trying to find the next Dan Hurley, I think, in this offseason. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
That's true. Adam, you have one
Yeah,
question?
I know all about the University of Rhode Island, and I know about I remember in '98, when made that run, and I remember seeing Dan Hurley as head coach. So talk to us about some of the who do you think would make a good head coach at URI?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of names floating around. This is very much recency bias, but I don't know if you've checked out the Northeast Conference tournament right now, but Bryant leads Wagner 36-6 with 4 minutes left in the first half.
What? Oh my.
And Bryant's head coach is Jared Grasso, and his name's been tossed around a little bit, and I think it's going to start getting tossed around a lot more after this. Just
starting tonight,
absolute bloodbath that's going on in Rhode Island. So, yeah, I mean, he's a possibility. Kimani Young, who there was some UMass rumors because their head coaching position is also open. His name's been floating around. He's an assistant under Dan Hurley right now at UConn. Archie Miller, which I think would be a big splash. However unrealistic it is, and I do think it's pretty unrealistic, but it would be a big splash if they were to land him. His name's been tossed around a lot, and we'll have to see. I mean, Tom Crean got let go by Georgia today, so there's going to be a lot of new guys out there floating around, I'm sure. And Maryland's looking for a head coach, Louisville's looking for a head coach, so it's about to get crazy. It's going to be a crazy couple months, I think, in end of March, April, and maybe even into May.
Yeah, Dave, I saw that. I met that guy who was at Georgia. Tom. He was Indiana's coach. He's a weirdo.
Yeah. Oh, he is. He's a weirdo that made the Final Four and a couple Sweet 16s.
He's a weirdo. He's like one of those people. Like he wears glasses and he doesn't want to talk to anybody, and he like walks by and he hunch over and I'm like, he was at the Big Ten tournament a couple of years ago. I'm like, and you're an Indiana's coach?
Yeah.
Where's Bobby Knight when you need him?
Yeah.
I don't with that.
Yeah, I don't think he's a realistic name for URI. I don't even think he's such a he's such a big name. I don't think that they're going to be in play for him. I think they're really looking for, like I said, the next Dan Hurley, a young up and coming guy. I mean, unless they can get Archie Miller, it's going to be someone like Grasso at Bryant or Kimani Young or Bashir Mason at Wagner. Or there's a ton of guys. I'm really versing myself now in low major coaches that are under 40 to see who's good out there. I don't know that many of them, but I'm trying to hit a lot of Wikipedia pages lately.
Mark Trojan around. Mark Trojan could go into one of these places and become God for
yeah, that's true. He's available. Chris Mack's available. I mean, there's just so many. It's the transfers in college basketball every year are nuts, and if only for a couple months, the coaching situation is always crazy, and it's going to be crazy again this year for sure.
Go ahead, George.
So, David, myself being a former East Coast guy.
Yes.
Okay, you're there in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Got to ask the question: New England or Manhattan?
Manhattan, the drink for sure.
No. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, more specific. New England clam chowder or Manhattan clam chowder?
Oh, clam chowder. So have you ever had the Rhode Island clam chowder? It's a clear broth.
Yes.
Yeah. That's. I mean, I like the standard just New England clam chowder, but the Rhode Island clam chowder is also phenomenal. But New England clam chowder all the way, of course.
Lobster roll, hot or cold?
I like both.
Terrorizing this guy?
I like both. I do. I like both.
I'm trying to bring some joy to the end.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You're like,
I mean, I cover an awful team, so I'm here for all the joy. Bring it on. Yeah, I like both, but I would probably say cold.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, guys, it's been real. Have a great night. I'm kidding.
I said I'll do hot too.
If you're having a cold lobster roll, it's not a lobster roll; it's a salad.
Thank you.
That's true.
Someone
That
who
is
lives in
like
New
a
England.
lobster
Thank
tail.
you.
That's
I
true.
think
Like,
you know something,
yeah.
guys. I think we're going to do 1 week just no sports. We're just going to talk about cooking and different recipes.
Regional cooking. You can
Food
bring
takes,
sports
yeah.
writers on and talk regional cooking.
We could go toe to toe with the kitchen on the Food Network. You know, like I'll be Jeff. You know, and talk about all the different spices I have and. George is like having a heart attack over there.
I have no problem talking food. I'm ready for all
we'll have
the
a
food
food
takes.
show.
Yeah.
We should do that. One show, guys. We'll bring Dave back home. We'll do it for like a tailgate show, the first Saturday of college football, and just talk about enough about hot dogs and sausages, and and just be like one of those cool things to do.
No, good
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, Dave, thanks for coming on, and you made me hungry, so I'm going to go eat some dinner.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And don't be a stranger. Come on back on anytime soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Have a good one, David.
Yeah,
See
you
ya,
too.
bye.
All right, bye.
All right. That's our good. That's we have a friend. Yeah, good old
What a
Dave.
great guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was great. It was great. Sorry, Adam, about that one more
I know.
question.
Yeah, I know.
I apologize for that.
I was going to
We'll
ask
do
him a seafood question. Since he's from Rhode Island, New England has. Living in New England as long as I did, I can say that I miss my New England seafood. But I will say, thank you, George. Thank you. Thank you.
There's no. I can't find Lagostino meat any place around here.
What?
And they're like Lagostinos. They're looking so like you have 5 eyes. Like Lagostino, what the hell's that?
Like, dude, you're from the Northeast. You know about bagels. I'm used to New York bagels, and coming down here to Maryland, I think I found something close to the dirty water in New York for bagels. But when I first got down here, my dad goes, "I can't find a bagel place." I'm like, "Dad, you're in Baltimore, okay?
Holy crap!
Now you want crab cakes? That's not a problem."
Yeah, this is not Long Island. When you have stuff around the corner, you can get whatever you want. Yeah. Well, folks, beginning the dinner bell. I'm hungry. I'm rolling out. Thanks for coming on. And thanks for joining us an early show. But we'll be back next week at the same time, 7:30. And we got former Oriole Larry Sheets joining us. Plus, we'll talk some. We're actually going to do a show with collegiate, some high school Catholic baseball coaches next week. A little different, because there's a lot of them have reached out to me and said they'll love to come on and talk about their teams. So we'll do a little different show.
Sure. Hey, we'll talk baseball at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah.
And and we got into April 18th when all the minor league teams will start rolling in. Some places start early. So.
Bullpen Cubs start next week.
Exactly. So.
I think so. I think they start next week.
Well,
the Portland Sea Dogs aren't far away. The AA affiliate of the Boston Red Sox. So go check them out at Hadlock Field if you haven't had a chance. It's a really not really.
He's like, forget you.
The Aberdeen Ironbirds.
Yeah.
Red Sox.
Red Sox.
That's all right.
It's all right.
Well,
Well, folks, thanks for joining us.
It's
hey, George, you probably saw this last night. Did you get a chance to see Chattanooga with the buzzer beater?
I saw bits and pieces of it.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave you with this because you probably missed it. So we're going to say goodnight.
I didn't.
Good night, folks. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Good night, everybody.
And thanks for coming on. And here's your gift for you, George. I forgive you for my birthday message.
4.3 left.
They're looking to decide they want a timeout. They're going to let him play.
Jean-Baptiste with one. Heaves it for the win. Oh! Chattanooga with a game-winning shot in overtime and a shot he will never forget.
Oh, my goodness.